the recording started? So, good evening, everyone. I welcome everyone. I, Dr. Garima Sharma, on behalf of Delhi Homeopathy Medical Association, welcomes you all to the webinar on the topic Roots of Drug Administration in Homeopathy. This is to inform one and all that Delhi Homeopathy Medical Association was established in 1932 by Dr. Yudhvir Singh. Dr. Yudhvir Singh sir was the first health minister of Delhi. Nehru Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital and was also founded by him, along with Delhi Public Library and NHMC. He found many other associations of homeopathy. He was the first chairman of Delhi Homeopathic Board. DHMA has been working for the welfare of homeopathy since 1932 by various means such as organizing health camps, seminars, national conferences, CMEs. CME is held in Delhi Public Library on last Sunday of the month. Webinar series was started during COVID and more than 250 webinars have been organized during COVID times and since then. Webinar series is being continued till date and webinars are organized every second Sunday of the month, 9 p.m. exclusively for DHMA members. So I would take the honor to introduce our speaker for the day. We are honored to have you, ma'am, Dr. Manpreet Kaur. Dr. Manpreet Kaur is BHMS, MD Homeopathy, PhD Homeopathy, DNHE, Fellowship in Palliative Care, Director and Homeopathic Physician and Consultant at Dr. Manpreet's Homeopathy Unit, Vice President of Delhi State Chapter of National Association of Palliative Care for Ayush and Integrative Medicines, Associate Editor with the journal Homeopathic Heritage, member of the editorial board of e-journal of NAPCIM. Now there are little instructions for the listeners. Please ask your questions at the end of the session, or you can type and interact with the speaker via chat during the session. Don't interrupt in between the sessions, and all the questions will be taken care of at the end of the session. Now I seek permission from our President ma'am, Dr. Shweta ma'am, so that we can proceed with the webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Garima, for the beautiful introduction of the Delhi Homeopathic Medical Association. And I heartily welcome Dr. Manpreet Kaur, who is the speaker today. And we are very happy to have you with us on the HMA platform. Welcome, Dr. Manpreet.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. And the topic is really good, and we are looking forward to have a great session from you. Thank you. And I welcome all the participants who have joined us today on the behalf of the entire team of Delhi Homeopathic Medical Association. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Garima.
Ma'am, can start your screen sharing.
Yes.
A very good evening to all. I'm just sharing my screen for today's presentation. I hope the slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's perfectly fine.
Thank you so much. So today's topic is roots of drug administration in homeopathy. We all know about the basics of homeopathy. We know about the preparation of medicines in homeopathy. Today we'll talk about how to administer the medicine through different routes. So first, definitely I would really thank my teacher, my guru, Dr. Pankaj Agarwal sir, who has been always there with me in all my ventures till now. And I would seek his blessings and would like to start my presentation now. As we know, homeopathy is this is a webinar for homeopaths, and we know it's an alternative system of medicine discovered by Dr. Hahnemann and based on the principle of similia, which signifies that a remedy is selected for the treatment of a natural disease will be the one which is capable of producing the similar range of symptoms in healthy person through drug proving procedure. So also in homeopathy, the administration of medicines, first I'm just giving a brief about administration, and then we'll come to the different modes of or routes of administration. So the principle behind the administration of homeopathic medicines are three principles. The law of similia, which is well known to everyone. Let likes be cured by likes. Then simplex, the law of simplex, in which we understand that only one single simple homeopathic medicine has to be administered at a time and not more than that. And the third is the law of minimum, which says that minimum amount of medicine has to be given for eliciting a response. And if you increase the dose, it leads to aggravations, and minimum dose avoids those unwanted aggravations and any damage to the vital organs in the body. So these three principles govern the administration of our medicines. And obviously our medicine, the holistic care is the principle of homeopathy, and individualistic and holistic approach is followed for the treatment of a sick individual. And our medicines assist the natural ability of the body. It means to the vital force, the power of the vital force is enhanced with by our medicines, and it is able to overpower the illness by its own increase. So our body's natural ability is enhanced basically through, and we are following a individualistic and holistic approach behind it. And we are treating the patient and not treating any patient with the name of a particular disease. So these are the basic principles which are important regarding the whenever we administer a medicine to our patients. Then preparation part, before administration we need preparation. In the preparation, the peculiarity, the characteristic feature of homeopathy is our potentization part, which is different from every other branch of medicine. And it is, the preparation is done from animal, plant and mineral kingdom using the standard method called as dynamization, or you can say potentization, which is a specialized process, a systematic process comprising of serial dilutions and succussions. And it has two main types basically, succussion and trituration. And these both are important for increasing the curative power of the drugs to the maximum, and this power is the main power behind to annihilate the natural diseases. So the more times this process of dilution and succussion is performed, the greater will be the potency and lesser will be the concentration of the active ingredient in our medicines. And through these processes only, the potential of the medicines to combat the ailments is enhanced, and the toxicity of the medicine is decreased simultaneously, and the medicine is capable of has the power of annihilating the natural disease to the curative extent. Even in the palliative patients also, our medicines are giving very much relief. Now we come to the administration of the homeopathic medicines. Now, for administration, our medicines are available in different forms, like liquid, like medicinal globules. Then there are topical products, there are powders, there are tablets. So medicines are administered in different forms. Now there are also syrups, there are lozenges, there are eye drops, there are medicated powders, capsules. These are the various forms in which our medicines are administered. And alcohol is an excellent preservative and a vehicle for all our medicines, most of our medicines. Whether you dispense in centesimal, whether you are giving LM, so alcohol is an excellent preservative and a vehicle for both of those scales. Now, homeopathy is definitely a speciality and originality in the field of medicine, and its route of administration is also special. And this subject dealing with the route or channel of administration is known as the pharmaconomy. This branch is known as pharmaconomy. Now we come to the main part of our webinar today, that is the route of administration of our medicines. So as you are familiar that the usual mode is definitely the oral route, but there are other routes, the alternative routes, which are adopted as per the requirement in the cases, such as olfaction, which is basically inhalation through the nose or the mouth. Then there is application to the skin. Third is the application through the milk of mother or the wet nurse. And then there is other mode of administration also, like ear drops, eye drops, etc. For few of our medicines, there are eye drops and ear drops also. So these are basic 5 routes of administration of our medicines. The oral route, which is ingestion through the mouth, you are ingesting the medicine. Secondly, you are inhalation, that is olfactory route, olfaction, inhalation through the mouth or nose. Third is the application to the skin, which is of two types, rubbing or an epidermic. I will discuss this further. Then fourth mode is the application of medicine through the milk of mother or the wet nurse. And fifth mode is other. I have categorized that into others like ear or eye. Through ear or eye, we can administer the medicine. Then now we come to the detailed discussion of all these 5 routes. So first is the oral route, which is given in aphorism 272 by Dr. Hahnemann in our Organon of Medicine. This is a route which is very, very effective and everybody is very much familiar with it. In this route, basically, the medicines act promptly and effectively. The medicines do not require any digestion but are directly absorbed from the oral mucosa, and then it goes to the cerebrospinal or the ganglionic nervous system. As we have always read the modus operandi of homeopathic cure, so that way our medicines get absorbed from the oral mucosa and then they enter the nervous system basically. And if you want to enhance the effect of the medicine, it can be done by dissolving this medicine into a liquid vehicle, most commonly water, so that it comes in contact with a larger surface area of the sensitive nerves in the mouth and esophagus and gastrointestinal tract, and then it reaches the required and then it leads to the required effect. Okay, so this way our medicine, the medicine administered by the oral route helps us. Now, if you are dissolving the medicine in water before taking, it will be much better. The more the water, the better it is. Like we tell the patient to take half katori, or at times we tell the patient to take in half glass or 1 glass. So like if you are giving in liquid doses also, then you can just tell the patient to dissolve it in water, 1 glass, half katori or 1 katori, and it is better to take it in water. So a single globule can also be crushed with sugar of milk and dissolved in water. Then it can be mixed well in water and then taken. So it can be more powerful. The effect can be more better. The greater the quantity of fluid in which it is dissolved, the better will be the effect, because in this case, the medicine comes into contact with a larger surface area of sensitive nerves, which is responsive to the medicinal action. About this, Hahnemann has told in aphorism 272 of 6th edition, where he says that a similar, like I'm reading the red color portion, a similar globule crushed with some sugar of milk and dissolved in a good deal of water, with reference to aphorism 247 also, and stirred well before every administration, will produce a far more powerful medicine for the use of several days. And every dose, no matter how minute, touches on the contrary many nerves. So taking the medicine in water enhances the effect of medicine as compared to the dry doses taken on the tongue. Okay, so this is very well told in aphorism 272 6th edition. Then for the patients, we are telling them that to avoid touching the medicine, to avoid touching the globules or tablets with the fingers or hands, the easiest way is to shake the required globule or tablets into a cap of the container and use it as a cup to place the medicine in the mouth. Like we tell the patient to pour the globules in the cap of the bottle and then place it into your mouth. So this is done because the homeopathic medicine is thinly absorbed onto the surface of the globules, and any moisture which is there on the fingers or hands may release the medicine at the point of contact, and it may lose the point of contact when it reaches the mouth. So it's better not to touch the globules and take it directly from the cap itself. These are the few instructions for the patients to follow when you are giving the medicine through oral route. Now, there is another reason for this, that there might be some oil or some dust on the finger of the patient, and if you the oil on the skin may stick on the surface of the globules, and it can impede the absorption once the medicine goes into the mouth. So for better absorption in the mouth, it is generally suggested that homeopathic medicines may be taken clean mouth. Like if we are telling the patient to take it in the morning empty stomach, then it's better to do so, because the mouth is comparatively clean early morning. Just take some water and the patient can take the medicine in that also. Then away from strong flavors, example, we tell to avoid some strong mint or menthol or camphor products, so that our medicines are not antidoted in any way. And it is good to take the medicine empty stomach, or you can tell the patient to keep a half an hour gap with the food. Either take before the food or take after the food with a half an hour gap. Then another mode of administration in the oral way is through the sublingual administration. Like we tell it is sublingual administration is letting a pellet or a globule dissolve under the tongue rather than chewing it. So as you can see in the picture I have put on the slide, so this is how beneath the tongue the medicine can be put. So sublingual administration is adopted in cases of coated tongue, which interferes the absorption and action of medicines. So this method is adopted where the tongue is coated, or if there is any interference with the absorption. Then another thing is for local action gargles, which is a solution of drugs for local action in the mouth or throat, can also be used. Gargles can also be administered. Then homeopathic medicine should be placed under the tongue of adults or children, or in the cheek of an infant, where they can be dissolved almost instantly. So this method can be modified a little bit by keeping the globule in the cheek in case of adults or children, and there it can be absorbed instantly and the effect can be produced promptly. Now, forms in which the medicine is administered through the oral route, like medicines through the oral route can be given in solid form or they can be given in liquid form. Medicine can be administered in solid form in the form of globules or sugar of milk or tablets. In liquid form, these are administered after dissolving them in the vehicle, like water can be used, and so it can come in contact with a larger surface area of the sensitive nerves of the mouth, as per aphorism 286 of our Organon of Medicine. The second route is olfaction, which is given in aphorism 248. Let me just touch a little about the history of the olfactory route. This reference is from an article by Dr. Diwan Harish Chandji. The name of the article is History of Medicine and the Contribution of Hahnemann. So in that article, it is written that Hahnemann had used the method of inhalation. They used to call it nasyam, as one method of administration of remedy in his later years. Earlier, Hahnemann also adopted the oral route, but later on, Hahnemann told that olfactory route is a better way. There are references for this also, I'll just quote it. And in this article, it is also written that there is an authentic record that this method was used by Jivaka for catharsis in the treatment of the holy person as Lord Buddha ji. The medicine was put on lotus, which was considered holy, and what was amazing is the exactitude in their effect, as smelling. Each handful of lotuses produced 10 motions. So this was written that the medicine was put on flowers and then the olfaction was taken. Through the olfaction produced the effects. Then Jivaka is a famous physician basically and a surgeon of the 6th century BC. He was a physician to Lord Buddha. So he had used this olfactory route. This is a reference from history. by Hahnemann. Hahnemann has written in aphorism 284, 6th edition, that the olfaction and inhalation through the mouth is another way apart from the oral route, in which apart from the oral route, olfaction and inhalation is another way through which medicine can be administered. He writes, besides the tongue, mouth and stomach, which are most commonly affected by the administration of medicine, the nose and respiratory organs are receptive of the action of medicines in fluid form by means of olfaction and inhalation. So this is a big reference from Organon, which can be inhalation through the mouth. So I'll just tell that also, that how it is done in the clinics by the patients also. And then there is another reference which is in footnote to aphorism 285, in which Hahnemann talks about olfaction, where he says that for this purpose it is most convenient to employ fine sugar globules of the size of poppy seeds. And there is a, it's a long footnote actually. So I can just emphasize on the last line. If it be necessary in the case of a very sensitive person to employ the smallest possible dose and to bring about the most rapid result, one single olfaction merely will suffice. So in case of sensitive persons, this olfactory route is a very good method of administering the medicines. And a reference is also for aphorism 288 by Hahnemann, along with in this footnote itself. Then a reference is also there in Materia Medica Pura. If you go through the introduction part of Arsenicum in volume 1 of Materia Medica Pura, so there Hahnemann writes that he first tells about the method of preparing arsenic in different ways in centesimal and decimal scale, and later on he has emphasized in this paragraph, which I have just noted over here, about the olfactory route. So he says that in a similar manner are moistened and kept in store the globules the size of a mustard seed. So these are basically the LM potency, very, very tiny poppy seed seeds, very, very tiny seeds, 20 of which weigh a grain. Each one of which kept in a well-corked little vial is sufficient for olfaction. So a tiny globule is kept in a 1 dram vial, and then the medicine is prepared for olfaction. And another line which is very, very important, which Hahnemann has quoted, is this is a mode for administering medicine which this is a mode for administering medicine which more recent, very extensive experience teaches is greatly to be preferred in most cases to any administration of small globules by the mouth for the homeopathic cure of all chronic as well as acute diseases. So many points are there in this line, that for administering the medicine, this is olfactory method is the most recent one, and this has been this conclusion has reached after a lot of extensive experience. Extensive experience teaches us that this should be preferred in most cases to this should be preferred to the administration of globules through the mouth. Like olfactory mode is a better way as compared to the olfactory route is the better way as compared to the oral route. And for this can be done both for acute cases also as well as chronic cases also. So, but here he has not given the reason in the introduction itself that why is it so. So these why is it so has been given in Organon. Now, another thing he has continued, that a sensible homeopathic physician will not give the remedy in such a minute dose unless he is convinced. So he say in this, I can just summarize in short, that even if aggravation is occurring after taking the medicine of arsenic, he is telling that if owing to human fallibility, the selection has not been quite appropriate, 1, 2 or several olfactions of ipecac, heparsulf or nux vomica, according to the circumstances, we remove the bad effects. So even for antidoting the effects of arsenic, he is telling to use the medicines in olfaction. And those medicines are Ipecac, Heparsulf or nux vomica. So even for antidoting, this olfactory route is followed. And after that, I've just pasted, there are a lot of diseases which he has quoted, in which medicine arsenic can be given through olfactory route. So this is a direct photograph from Materia Medica Pura, the paragraph. It quotes n number of diseases in which olfactory route can be used for administering arsenic. Olfaction is nothing but the act of smelling. It is a method of administering a medicine through the nose and mouth by the act of smelling. As you can see in the picture I have put on the slide, this is the way, but actually we are using 1 gram vials in our clinics. In that we are making the medicine. I'll just tell how, and then we are telling the patient to take it through olfactory route. Now, Master Hahnemann, our founder, was administering the medicines by oral routes, but in his later years, like around 1833, he has favored the olfactory route. He has written in the footnote of aphorism 288 in 5th edition of Organon that homeopathic medicines act most surely and most powerfully when the medicinal aura that is always emanating from the medicine is inhaled for a short time. So Hahnemann has quoted this line, this fact in aphorism 288 footnote. Then how it is administered, I am just telling about that now. Now globules, or rather we use a single globule. It is moistened with the medicinal fluid and placed dry in a small phial. One way is this one. Another way is, I'll just tell. Now, after the this globule is placed in the placed dry in a small phial, the patient is allowed to hold the open mouth of the phial first in one nostril, and he is told to inspire it, so that he draws the air out of that into himself, and the effect of the medicine reaches the body. And if you want to give a stronger dose, then the patient is asked to inhale the same vapor with the other nostril, more or less strongly according to the strength as much required in each particular case. In case the nostrils are stopped, in case the nostrils are blocked by coryza or the patient has polyps, then the patient is told to inhale by mouth by holding the orifice of the phial in between the lips. So through the mouth also this can be done. Inhalation can be done. Olfaction and inhalation. This is basically the medicine is entering through vapors. This mode. If there is a small child, then you can, as I have shown in the picture, in little children, the phial can be holded in place of the nostril of the child, and while the child is sleeping, then also it can be taken through the olfactory route by the child and produces the effect. The medicinal aura, thus inhaled, comes in contact with the nerves in the walls of the spacious cavities of the nose, and thus produces a salutary influence on the vital force in the mildest yet powerful manner. An interval of repeating the olfaction is same as the oral route. Like we give 3 times a day, 2 times a day, like that. So same as the oral route, olfactory route the repetition can also be done same as for the both the routes, olfaction and oral. Now all what I have just told is quoted by Hahnemann in aphorism 288 of the 5th edition of Organon, where he writes that it is especially in the form of vapor by olfaction and inhalation of the medicinal aura that is always emanating from a globule impregnated with a medicinal fluid in a high development of power and placed dry in a small phial and medicines act powerfully. So this is the same from the Organon only, so I'm not reading it throughout. This is nothing but footnote 2 of aphorism 288 from the fifth edition of Organon of Medicine. Like how this is a main reference in where Hahnemann has told that how olfactory dose can be taken. Now preparation of the olfactory dose. In the history we find that in the Paris case books, Hahnemann had continued to use olfaction until his last days, and Dr. Crocereau, a close colleague of Samuel, stated that Hahnemann often gave an olfaction dose and waited 1 week. So similar to the oral doses we give, olfaction doses, after giving an olfaction dose also, a wait was done for 1 week. Now this is a reference from Boningossen's lesser writings. In the fifth edition, Hahnemann recommends not to give the olfactory remedy any more frequently than one would use by the dose by the mouth. So it is the same thing that ऐसा नहीं है कि olfaction दे रहे हैं तो हम बहुत जल्दी जल्दी रिपीट करेंगे और खाने में दवा दे रहे हैं तो हम बहुत धीरे धीरे या स्लो मतलब उसका रेपिटेशन कम रखेंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता है. दोनों के लिए रेपिटेशन पार्ट एक जैसा होता है, चाहे आप olfaction में दे रहे हो या आप oral route के थ्रू दे रहे हो. Now Hahnemann had used olfaction almost exclusively for a period of time, but decided later that oral medicinal solution was much more appropriate as a median dose. So he had used both ways, but in the later days he had preferred the olfactory route, as he has quoted in the introduction to arsenic in Materia Medica Pura, which I have just discussed. Now this is another reference, aphorism 248, 6th edition, where he tells about the preparation and administration of the medicines through olfaction. Hahnemann writes, if only a small vial, say a dram of dilute alcohol is used in the treatment, in which is contained and dissolved through succussion one globule. Only, see, a tiny globule is used and only one globule is used of the medicine, which is to be used by olfaction every 2, 3 or 4 days, and this also must be thoroughly succussed 8 to 10 times before each olfaction. Okay, so we are taking this file, which I have like put a picture in the slide itself. We take this 1 gram file and put this one tiny globule, one single globule into this file, and put a little bit of water in it so that it dissolves, this globule dissolves in it. And after that we fill it with RS, rectified, like that is Saclac solution, and then we tell the patient to take the doses in a way that we tell the patient to hold the open file in front of one nostril and inhale it, one inhalation. Then we tell the patient to hold this in the other nostril and give one more inhalation, and the third one like एक right से कराया, फिर दूसरा left से, फिर एक दोबारा से right से. So 3 times giving this olfaction is one dose of olfaction, as per Dr. L.M. Khan sir, which he has guided us that how he. But here in Organon, Hahnemann writes that even one olfaction also suffice. But clinically, what we have learned from Dr. Khan, he tells us to use, like if the patient is taking in the morning right, left, right, so in the evening he will take left, right, left, like that. So 3 times olfaction is done in one dose of olfaction in one dose, one time of medicine. So this is how we administer it. This tiny globule is put in a phial and medicine is prepared. The same thing I've written over here in the slide. This pill is nothing but a 10 number globule. It is placed into 1 gram phial. Then put 1 drop of water and melt the pill. Then fill this vial with alcohol, leaving 1/3 of the vial empty. So that when you are, and before every dose, you need to give succussions to this phial. So like when you are preparing it, take the phial, put a globule, put a little water, let it dissolve, then fill it with alcohol and give succussions as per the requirement of the case. The succussions can vary from 2 to 12 as per the requirement in the case. And after giving succussion, then you tell the patient to inhale either from right, right, or left, right. Then in the next dose, it will be like in the earlier dose, if it was right, right, then in the next dose, it will be left, right. So in the both the nostrils, it is in a day you are taking equal number of times. So the vial is succussed on an average of 5-6 times, but in Ognon it's written 2 to 12 times. And the hypersensitive, if the patient is hypersensitive, the succussions may just be 1, 2, or 3, or 4 times. And if the patient is less sensitive or lower sensitivity is there, then succussions are higher, like 8, 10, or 12 succussions. And every time the patient is taking the medicine through olfactory route, these succussions have to be given. So this is an instruction we give to the patients that before you take through inhalation, kindly give succussion, and we tell the patient how many succussions as per the requirement in the case. Then the vial is then held. Okay, this is the same thing which I have told, that the vial is held under the nose and the vapors are inhaled. One dose is given, one dose is given to assess the sensitivity of the individual, and the remedy repeated if and when necessary. So according to experience only, like for oral medicines also, experience is there. So accordingly, we give it for olfactory doses also. And according to the need of the patient, we tell about the repetitions. This is a photograph how the person is preparing them. This is the bottle of the medicine. Second, he is putting this in a phial. Then he is putting a little water and dissolving the pill. Then fills the this phial with alcohol. Then holding in the hand in this manner, we give succussions. Similar to the succussions we give to the bottle of LM potencies, which you are giving orally also. So this phial is also given succussions before each olfactory dose. Now olfaction method is given basically for most sensitive patients, as it is written in Ognon aphorism also, as I just told. In most sensitive patients, olfactory method is very, very useful. And in acute cases also, where there are a lot of pains, then it is also used for idiosyncratic patients who are very, very sensitive. It is also used for patients in whom you cannot give the medicine through mouth, in bedridden patients, in small children, okay, and in patients who are on palliative care, in patients who are suffering from epilepsy, hysteria, in locked jaw, tetanus. So these are few conditions where this olfactory method can be adopted. Then third method is application to the skin, which is given in aphorism 284 and 285. Hahnemann, after his new discovery, proclaimed that external application is nothing but the outward reflection of the internal derangement, as we all know from the study of Ognon. And this internal derangement is expressed on the surface of the skin. Now, external applications are not the strict principle of homeopathy. Treatment by internal medicine is the speciality of homeopathy, and diseases manifest itself by signs and symptoms, which is the sole guide for homeopathic treatment. We treat according to the symptoms, right? And we are not giving any, we prefer internal medication basically. As no disease is external or local, and the immaterial vital force throws out the internal malady on the external surface. The nature of external symptoms indicates the nature of internal sickness. So if there is any ailment on the skin, it is all due to the internal derangement of the vital force only. Nothing is local, it is all due to the internal derangement. Now, removal of the external ailments, it is never cure. On the other hand, if you remove the ailment externally, it may attack some internal organ of the body, and we lose the actual image of the disease basically. But for accidental cases, injuries, lacerations, burns, we definitely need some local cleansing and dressing up of the part. For that, external application is important. Master Hahnemann gives some arguments against the external applications in aphorism 196 to 203. But later on, he also saw the necessity of external application while advocating the administration of medicine per mouth. Now, he prefers that Hahnemann says that the medicine should be given through mouth, but in certain cases, he has given the importance of external application also. He feels that oral route is not the only route for administration of the medicine. He explains in aphorism 284 and 285 in the 6th edition about external applications and says that curative remedy should be continued internally, and at the same time the same remedy can be used externally as an ointment, liniment, lotion, cerate, etc. So the same medicine can be administered at the same time internally and externally, since in this way you will be giving a single medicine only at a time. Then topical products are applied directly to the skin to stimulate a localized healing process, and there are various external applications we use like glycerols, ointments, liniments, opodeldocs, lotions, cerates, poultices, fomentations, plasters, sprays and oils. Now this administration is done by two methods, epidermic and anepidermic. The first method is rubbing or friction, which you called as epidermic method. In this method, friction is used. Basically, the medicine is applied over the surface of the body, and it is done wherever the skin is sound, the skin is intact. Like it can be the skin of epigastrium, inner parts of the thighs, lower part of abdomen, back, arms, legs, testicles, labia majora, etc. Wherever the skin is intact. So the medicine is applied and through friction it is rubbed. And various applications are used like lotions, ointments, liniments over the unbroken skin. So in this method, basically the medicine is applied and rubbed, which is a rubbing, that is epidermic mode. This is told in footnote of aphorism 292 by Hahnemann, that rubbing in appears to favor the action of medicine only in this way, that friction makes the skin more sensitive and the living fibers thereby more capable of feeling, as it were, the medicinal power and of communicating to the whole organism this health affecting sensation. So rubbing in is a method which Hahnemann has also quoted beneficial in aphorism 292, because friction is the way in which it is helping for the absorption and the benefit of the patient. The second method is anepidermic. In this method, the medicine is just kept in contact with the unbroken skin without friction or rubbing. So this is the difference. In that, friction is followed, but here friction is not done. So this is only keeping the medicine in contact with the skin without friction or rubbing. Here you use plasters, poultices, ointments, etc. for anepidermic method. Now, various preparations are used in homeopathy for external applications. I have just noted the content over here, but I will just be naming them, like glycerols, ointments, liniments. These are the different external applications used in homeopathy. More, there are opodeldocs, lotions, cerates, poultices, fomentation, plasters, oils. Then there are injections also, although not used. Then surgical dressings are also there. So these are few of the types of external applications used in homeopathy. Now about this method of rubbing on the skin, Hahnemann has quoted in aphorism 284, and where he tells, I'm just reading the red portion, that but the whole remaining skin of the body covered clothed with epidermis, but the whole remaining skin of the body, clothed with epidermis, is adapted to the action of medicinal solutions, especially if the injunction is connected with simultaneous internal administration. So in this aphorism, Hahnemann is basically telling that if you are giving the same medicine, applying on the skin and also internally administrating that same medicine, it gives benefit. And besides the tongue, mouth and stomach, which are which are most commonly affected by the administration of medicine, the nose and respiratory organ, that like this is an aphorism where Hahnemann has given both the methods, olfaction and inhalation also as an alternative route, and the rubbing in method, that is application to the skin method, also as the alternative route. So in aphorism 284 of 6th edition, Hahnemann has emphasized on the two more alternative route, olfaction and the application on skin. But with application on skin, he is telling that internally also you give the same medicine at the same time for beneficial effect. Now in aphorism 285, 6th edition, he writes, this aphorism is also about rubbing on the skin, and he writes that in this way, the cure of very old disease, this word is important here, very old disease, like patients who are bedridden, patients who are suffering from a long time. In these such patients, cure will be furthered by the physician applying externally, rubbing it in the back, arm, extremity, the same medicine he gives internally and which showed itself curatively. So applying the same medicine externally and giving it internally will be of benefit in patients suffering from very old diseases. But yes, there is an exception, that medicine should not be applied on the parts which are subjected to pain, or on the parts having spasm, or the parts having any skin eruptions. This is an exception. Next method is through the milk of mother or wet nurse, which is given in only very important reference from Ognon, that is 284 footnote 6th edition. This is a method which is the speciality of homeopathy, and homeopathy has a great scope for administering the medicine through this route for the infants. For treating the ailment of infant, the medicine is administered in moderate doses to the nursing mother, and this medicine can be easily and certainly utilized by the child through the milk of mother. So for an infant, for treating the infant, we give the medicine to the mother, and every rightly chosen medicine administered in this way removes the ailments of the infants. So this method is only special for homeopathy, and this is a great reference from the Ognon, footnote of aphorism 284 of 6th edition of aphorism 284 6th edition ka footnote hai ye, where he writes, the power of medicines acting upon the infant through the milk of the mother or wet nurse is wonderfully helpful. Every disease in a child yields to the rightly chosen homeopathic medicine given in moderate doses to the nursing mother, and so administered is more easily and certainly utilized by these new world citizens than is possible in later years. So this is a golden time. Basically, if you like for anti-miasmatic treatments also, this method is adopted. And since most infants usually have imparted to them sora through the milk of the nurse, if they do not already possess it through heredity from the mother, they may be at the same time protected antisorically by means of the milk of nurse rendered medicinally in this manner. So the children, the infants are in very much benefit through this method if at an earlier age that miasmatic trait can be tackled through this method. So this is a very important way of administering our medicines at a very early age. Now other methods like drops, eye drops, and ear drops, eye drops for cineraria, and ear drops like mullein oil is used for the administration. So these are the other routes of administration. Now, few conditions for administering our medicines, I would just discuss in brief. Like there are only 6 points in this. First condition for administration is, this is all given in aphorism 246 6th edition. There are 6 main points for which are the conditions for administration of medicine. First is selected remedy should be homeopathic, similar medicine should be there. Second, highly potentized medicine should be there. A potentized medicine is always used by us. Then thirdly, the medicine should be dissolved in water. This is already I have discussed before also, that globule is crushed with sugar of milk and dissolved in water. Then it's mixed well before administration, and it can increase the quality of the medicine. Quality will increase the greater the quantity of fluid. Now, because in this way the medicine will come in contact with a much larger surface of sensitive nerves responsible to medicinal action. Fourth point is that every dose should be minimum dose as small as possible. Next condition is every subsequent dose must be higher than the previous one, because the quality of medicine is increased when succeeding doses are changed slightly every time, like potentized higher on every repetition. This way is followed very well when we give LM potencies. This is because the former dose, why should it be that the next dose should be higher? So the reason for this is because the former dose has already accomplished the change, and now the same condition will not be found by the next dose. So it will give a more beneficial effect. The former dose has already accomplished the expected change in the vital principle, and the next dose does not find the similar condition. So it is beneficial to increase every dose. Every dose must be little higher than the previous one. A reference from aphorism 247 6th edition. And the last point for condition is it should be administered at definite and suitable intervals. So the repetition should also be taken care of for administration of our medicines. Now, general precautions for the patients. Like we guide the patient to take the medicine half an hour apart from the meals. Second is we tell the patient to do not take two like allopathic and homeopathic together. So we tell them to give a gap of 15 minutes or half an hour before or taking the medicines, like half an hour gap between the allopathic and the homeopathic medicines. Or with any supplements also, we tell them to keep a gap. Then we also tell them to refrain from consuming any foods or drinks that contain any strong aromatic or stimulants like coffee, peppermint, or some camphor at the same time when the patient is taking the medicine, because of the risk of antidoting. So to avoid any interference or any antidoting effect, we tell them to stay away from strong stimulants like coffee, peppermint, and all such, menthol and camphor, etc. Now, this is again, we tell them to keep a gap of half an hour or 15 minutes before eating or drinking. Like if the patient has brushed the teeth also, we tell them to take the medicine either half an hour before brushing or take the medicine half an hour after brushing the teeth. The tongue should be clean. That's the main part basically. Now we also tell the patient to remove any everything which can hinder the medicinal action of the medicine should be removed from the diet and regimen during the administration. So anything of the medicinal action which can affect the effect of the medicine should be taken care of and removed, and so that our dose is not overwhelmed or extinguished or disturbed by any foreign medicinal irritant, which is a reference in 259 aphorism. And this is also done, like we tell them to avoid stress also, which is a part of regimen, which is a part of routine So this is also told. Then any new habits should be are told not to indulge in, like alcohol, smoking, etc. Then all emotional stress and strain, excitement should also be avoided while the patient is on homeopathic medications. Repetition, I'll just touch on the in short. Like there are a few points given in aphorism 245 to 256. परसेप्टिबल एंड कंटिन्यूड प्रोग्रेस ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट, जब भी इम्प्रूवमेंट का एक प्रोग्रेस चल रहा है तब तक हमको रिपीट नहीं करना होता. फॉर 245 अब इम्प्रूवमेंट जैसे ही खत्म हो जाए तब हम रेपिटेशन देते हैं. देन तीसरा पॉइंट, जब तक रिकवरी नहीं होती है तब तक रेपिटेशन करते रहना होता है, या फिर जब नए सिम्टम्स अगर आ जाए तो भी आप रिपीट करते हो. एंड देन this is a reference from 248 number aphorism. Then in chronic diseases, medicine may be repeated at intervals of 14, 12, 10, 8 or 7 days as per Organon. Then in chronic diseases resembling cases of acute disease, repetition is at shorter intervals. In acute diseases, further shorter intervals is there, like every 24, 12, 8 or 4 hours. And in very acute diseases, acute state, we repeat every hour or till even 5 minutes also, as per Organon of medicine, as given in aphorisms 245 to 256. To conclude, I would just like to say from my presentation that medicines are very well palatable and have almost no side effects, no adverse effects, and they can be administered easily. The different modes of administered I have discussed can be used for treatment of various disorders following the principles of homeopathy. Then each of the method has its own importance and can be applied as per the requirement of the case. Like olfactory method and external application method holds great importance for patients who have difficulty in taking the medicine orally. For example, for children, for bedridden patients, for palliative care patients, for old age individuals and infants. So these are the different modes which I have discussed, and I would really like to thank the team of DHMA for giving me this opportunity to share this topic with all of you today. Thank you so much.
So much, ma'am, for such a learned session. I would request Dr. Nupur to take up the question answer session.
Thank you, Dr. Garima. Thank you, ma'am. This is very enriching session. So we have questions from Dr. Deepika Balani. When local application is used simultaneously along with the oral, the local application is crude often or in the potency form.
No, it's actually the local application is available in the pharmacy, so it's not having any potency as such. The medicine which you are giving orally has the potency, as per my experience.
Second, kindly explain LM olfaction once again, please.
Okay, can I bring a file? If you can just allow me just a minute.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just bringing, yeah. Yes. So if you can see me, I can stop the shift. Okay. See, this is a file which we use. Okay, and we open the cap, and if you have seen a poppy size, tiny globules are there of the LM potency. We put that one tiny globule in this file. 1 gram फाइल है, ये कांच की फाइल है और दवाई को हम कांच की फाइल में बनाते हैं क्योंकि ये खराब नहीं होता. ठीक है, तो इसके अंदर हम एक ग्लोब्यूल प्लेस करते हैं, फिर हम 1 ड्रॉप पानी लेते हैं बस, जो हम इसके अंदर डालते हैं, फिर उसको ऐसे मिक्स कर लेते हैं, शेक कर लेते हैं, 1-2 मिनट लगते हैं, थोड़ा मिक्स हो जाता है, फिर इसके अंदर हम इसको अल्कोहल से 2/3 भर लेते हैं. ठीक है, यहाँ तक 2/3 भर लिया और फिर हम इसको ऐसे कैप लगा के फिर हम इसको सकशंस देते हैं ऐसे बॉटल. ठीक है, सकशंस में वैरी, ज्यादातर जनरली 5 सकशन 10 सकशन तक जाते हैं मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस में. इस तरह से हम सकशन देते हैं, पेशेंट को गाइड करते हैं कि आपको जब भी दवाई लेनी है तो ऐसे सकशन देने हैं पहले, उसके बाद इसको ऐसे ओपन करना है और ऐसे नॉस्ट्रिल के पास रखना है और ऐसे इनहेल करना है। तो अब ये मैंने किया लेफ्ट नॉस्ट्रिल से, फिर राइट से करना है और फिर लेफ्ट से करना है। सो दिस इज 1 डोज। देन द पेशेंट ऐसे इसको कैप लगा के रख देता है। सुबह के टाइम आपने ऐसे लिया, ठीक है। फिर शाम को जब आप नेक्स्ट डोज लोगे तो जैसे मैंने लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट लिया था सुबह, तो अब शाम को मैं शुरू करूंगी तो इसी कैप पहले मैं स्ट्रोक्स दूंगी, 10 स्ट्रोक दिए मान लो, 10 स्ट्रोक देके फिर राइट से इनहेल करो, फिर ऐसे लेफ्ट से इनहेल करो और फिर ऐसे राइट से इनहेल करो, ऐसे। तो दिन में मैंने 2 डोजेस दिया ऑल्फैक्शन का। फिर जितने दिन तक आप देना चाहते हो उतने दिन तक दे सकते हो। अगर केस बहुत एक्यूट है तो कभी कभी हम 3 बार भी देते हैं, या बहुत ज्यादा एक्यूट है तो फ्रीक्वेंट और भी फ्रीक्वेंट दे सकते हैं। सो इसका जो रेपिटेशन है वो सिमिलर होता है ओरल डोजेस जैसा ही। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप सूंघने में दे रहे हो तो दवाई कम जाएगी, ऐसा नहीं होता है। ये भी उतनी ही इफेक्टिव होती है जितनी आप ओरल मेडिसिन देकर इफेक्ट देखते हो। सो दिस इज हाउ वी गिव। और एलएम का क्वेरी है ना, काइंडली एक्सप्लेन। हाँ, एलएम का ऑल्फैक्शन, हाँ एलएम का ऑल्फैक्शन ऐसे ही देते हैं। बाकी तो फिर दूसरे वो जो ओरल डोजेस का अलग तरीका होता है, एलएम का। ऑल्फैक्शन का यही तरीका है। I hope I've solved this query.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Deepika, okay, right, okay.
So another question from Osama Ali. As you explained the rubbing of medicine over skin, I want to know to which part of the skin we should rub medicine. Like I have seen in cases, some cases which learned physician rub medicine on the different, like once over the neck and once over the forehead. So how do we know which part we have to rub?
This is all actually not any. This is not fixed कि एक ही कोई ऐसा पर्टिकुलर पार्ट है जहाँ हमें रब करना होता है, ऐसा कुछ जरूरी नहीं होता है। जैसे अभी मैंने आपको बताया था एपिडर्मिक मेथड में, तो उन्होंने बहुत सारे पार्ट्स बताए हैं। आप एब्डोमेन पे भी रब कर सकते हो, आर्म्स पे भी रब कर सकते हो, लेग्स पे भी रब कर सकते हो, बैक पे भी रब कर सकते हो। सो देयर इज नो पर्टिकुलर रीजन एज सच, एज पर ऑर्गेनॉन लाइक।
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I have some questions.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Is there any way to get the bioavailability of the drug? Bioavailability.
Bioavailability.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please define this word? What's that?
मैम जैसे कि एलोपैथिक में होता है कि इतना क्वांटिटी हमारी बॉडी में गया ड्रग का, तो जैसे हम लोग देते हैं, जैसे बोलते हैं कि हार्ट अटैक के पेशेंट्स में सबलिंगुअली मेडिसिन देते हैं तो जल्दी एक्ट करती है। सो वो हम लोग डिफरेंशिएट कर सकते हैं क्या कि होम्योपैथिक में कि सबलिंगुअली ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव है या फिर ओरली ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव है? तो उसकी जो जितनी परसेंटेज जो जा रहा है ड्रग का, वो कितना जा रहा है और कितना अब्जॉर्ब हो रहा है बॉडी से?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। कौन सा मेथड बेटर है ये तो केस पे डिपेंड करता है। जैसे अगर केस बहुत एक्यूट है, बहुत पेन्स वाला है, जो जैसे ऑल्फैक्टरी डोज का जो एक उसमें दिया है कि पेन्स में ज्यादा अच्छा ऑल्फैक्शन काम करता है ना। तो और ओरली तो है ही, ओरली तो कोई और मेथड नहीं है, तो ओरल तो है ही। फिर ऑल्फैक्टरी की अपनी कंडीशंस हैं, जैसे सेंसिटिव पेशेंट्स में ज्यादा अच्छा ऑल्फैक्शन एक्ट करता है। फिर जहां पर आप ओरल देख ही नहीं पा रहे हो वहां पर आप ऑल्फैक्टरी डोज देते हो। तो इसका कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि हम क्वांटिटी बता सकें, क्योंकि हमारी मेडिसिन क्वालिटेटिवली काम करती हैं, क्वांटिटेटिवली काम नहीं करती हैं। So this is all experience basically, that how are you administering in which case. बाकी आपको ऑर्गेनॉन के सारे फंडे पता होने चाहिए कि क्या कंडीशंस है और कैसे हमको हैंडल करना है, वो सब कुछ दिया है हैनिमन ने। बट बहुत सारी बातें एक्सपीरियंस की आती हैं जो हम अपने सीनियर्स से सीखते हैं और अपने क्लिनिक्स पे खुद भी सीखते हैं। क्वांटिटेटिवली का तो ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारी मेडिसिन पूरी क्वालिटेटिव है, होलिस्टिक है, इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक है और सिम्टम पे जाती है। क्वांटिटी तो बस आप वही असेस करते हो कि आपने कितनी ड्रॉप्स दी या कितने चम्मच देने हैं। डाइल्यूशंस में ड्रॉप्स में नहीं देने चाहिए, एग्रीवेशन बहुत होता है।
Okay.
मैम अभी आपके बोलने से मुझे क्वेश्चन आया, जैसे आपने बोला कि मैटर करती है, होम्योपैथी में क्वांटिटी नहीं करती है। तो फिर लॉ ऑफ मिनिमम डोज का क्या रहा? मतलब अगर हम मिनिमम डोज में हम क्वांटिटी तो कम करते हैं।
हाँ, मतलब मेरा मतलब उनके उससे था कि वो मेडिसिन का क्वांटिटी बायो अवेलेबिलिटी के हिसाब से मैं आंसर करी थी उस वर्ड क्वांटिटी को। हमारी मिनिमम डोज ही चलेगी।
ओके मैम,
दैट इज ऑब्वियस।
या
अच्छा,
सो मच मैम।
I have another question. What
Yeah.
happens when dilution or mother tincture applied externally? Like external application में हम lotion देते हैं या फिर हम ointments use करते हैं. अगर हम dilutions को externally apply करें तो what will happen?
It will show its effect only. Nothing will happen as such. The effect will be beneficial only if the medicine is indicated. If the medicine is similar and your medicine is correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Over to you, Dr. Garima.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all the queries and questions so nicely.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. VP Singh sir to express his views on the session.
First of all, on behalf of Delhi Homeopathic Medical Association, I welcome to our today's learned speaker, Dr. Manmeet Kaur. This was a very educative lecture. Dr. Manmeet taught us about the detailed preparation, administration of the homeopathic medicine, 100% by the help of various aphorisms of organon of medicine. For that, we have to tell our patients about safe procedure of taking the medicine for the better cure and treatment by the homeopathic medicines. Thank you, ma'am. This was a very good lecture by you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a very good opportunity to share my knowledge with all today. And I'm really heartfelt thanks to the team of DHMA from me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much for your valuable input, sir. And it's really so nice to hear from you.
I request our president, Dr. Shweta Singh ma'am, to present her views on the lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Manpreet. It was a fantastic lecture and रूल्स ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे आई गेस ये हमारा फर्स्ट सेशन होगा आपके साथ और काफ़ी अच्छा रहा एंड जिस तरह से आपने सारी चीज़ें एक्सप्लेन की हैं और विद अफोरिज्म नंबर्स एंड क्या हमारे डॉक्टर हैनीमैन कहते हैं रिगार्डिंग एक्सटर्नल एप्लीकेशंस भी तो इट वाज रियली वंडरफुल थैंक यू फॉर कमिंग
Thank you so much, Dr. Shweta. Thank you so much.
Have Dr. Deepak sir also with us. Sir, I would request you to say something about the lecture. I think sir is not available. So I request our president ma'am to present the acquisition certificate to Dr. Manpreet ma'am.
Congratulations, Dr. Manpreet.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I would like to request our president ma'am to give the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank our speaker for such an enlightening session and informative session on roots of drug administration in homeopathy. Then I would like to thank my team, the entire executive team for such an execution of the webinars, for such a successful webinars conduction. And thanks to all the participants for joining us today. And we have many more such informative webinars for you, all of you that are lined up with many more such renowned homeopaths. So please tuning in with the DHMA and thank you all of you.
Thank you so much.
So much everyone, and this is a kind reminder to everyone for DHMA memberships. You can log on to www.dhma.in for membership. Contact any of the executive, anyone for membership. Thank you all. Thank you for joining. Ma'am, shall we end?
Okay, good night and goodbye to all.
Night.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank you so much.